Hello, everybody. It's Kanoa and Lui from Baja123.com in beautiful Rosarito Beach, Mexico. Good morning, Lui.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Lui, actually, we wanted to do this video this morning to tell people and give them a market update on the real estate and what's happening in our area. And actually, we're pretty surprised about some of the things that we're going to share with people this morning. And that's why we thought it was important to get on here and do a video to share with people what's happening, because we weren't predicting what would be happening with our real estate. And so we thought, hey, let's do this video. Let's give them a market update, because I'm sure there's people that are buying and selling or wanting to buy and sell in Rosarito right now. And let's share with them and tell them what's happening so they can make some good decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, the way that things are going, I was not expecting for sure, some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. To me, it was surprising. So I'm excited to share with you this morning. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
I think what surprised us the most is back in 2008, when we had the financial crisis, and how the market responded and reacted to that financial crisis was kind of maybe a little bit of what we were expecting again. And that didn't happen, or at least it hasn't happened yet. So back in 2008, I think within a very short period of time, we saw the activity go down dramatically. We saw the pipeline go down dramatically. We saw a lot of people backing out of their purchases, no new activity coming in. And so that was kind of like what we were going, wow, are we going to get ready to go through that again, right? And so that's kind of what we're preparing for.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this is a different time. We weren't expecting the results that we're getting right now. And once again, the only point in time that we could compare to was back in 2008, 2012, when the market hit its lowest.
And I think back then, as I was kind of looking at everything that's going on, trying to make sense of all this craziness that's happening, and I'm realizing, well, back in 2008, that was really a housing crisis, right? Right now we're in a health crisis, right? It's not a housing crisis, at least not yet, and we're hoping that it doesn't get to that. But back then, we had a ton of construction going on. There was a ton of inventory, and then all of a sudden, everybody stopped looking at going to Mexico. For multiple reasons that was happening in Mexico. They just stopped, and the activity just turned off, and it turned off really quickly. And we're expecting that once again to happen here, and that really isn't what's going on. And that's what we want to share with people, of going, our prediction of what was happening didn't happen, and let's share with you some information of why we think that's happening.
Okay, so there is this one article that we were reading, and I think it's very interesting. And it talks about home values appreciation or depreciation in regards to 2020 because of the pandemic that's happening. And it's some interesting information, Kanoa.
So this article that we're pulling up right now is from Keeping Current Matters. It's a real estate publication that talks mostly about what's going on in the U.S. market. And for us, we like to keep our eye on the U.S. market because it does affect us here in Rosarito Beach. Usually we're a month or so behind of what's happening over there, but we like to see what's going on, and we keep our eye on this publication. Now, this publication is shared to us by our real estate coach, Tom Ferry, and we were actually on a call with them. And Tom Ferry is one of the #1 real estate coaches around the world, and he brings together some of the best and brightest real estate agents from all around the world, and we're able to share thoughts and opinions and collaborate on what's going on. And once again, it just reinforces what we're going to share with you, some of the things that his agents and his coaches are talking about what they're seeing in the real estate market as of right now. And the question right now is, this article are home prices going to go up, or are they going to go down? And so I guess that would all depend, and this is going to talk about the supply and demand. So, how's the supply and how's the demand? It said in this article, it says their latest edition sheds some light on the relationship between seller traffic, the supply, and the buyer traffic, the demand, during this pandemic. And this is coming from the Realtors Confidence Index. So what we're looking at right here on this graph, or on this slide, is the buyer traffic index. So if you can see over here, it says the buyer traffic, and it's got weak in gray, stable in kind of like a lighter blue, and the darker blue are strong. And you can see there's no gray on this map right now, huh, Louis? We're not seeing any parts that are gray.
Exactly. This is basically telling us what the buyer traffic of the United States is as of May or April, and I guess the whole month of April, between April and May. And it really shows something interesting. I'm going to read you what the bottom says. The darker the blue, the stronger the demand for homes is in that area. The survey shows that in 34 of the 50 U.S. states, buyer demand is now strong, and 16 of the 50 states have a stable demand.
So, I mean, that's some pretty surprising information. We would think right now that there wouldn't be a lot of this going on in the U.S. And I think this is kind of, once again, like we're saying, is why we're not experiencing it here either. So there's a big buyer demand in the U.S. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And here's the seller supply. And I think this is the reason. This is one of the reasons. And once again, we've got over on the corner there, it says seller traffic. It says, how would you rate seller traffic in your area? And go ahead, Louis, explain this slide.
So as the map above indicates, 46 states and Washington, D.C. reported weak seller traffic. 3 states reported stable seller traffic, and 1 state reported strong seller traffic. This means that there are far fewer homes on the market than what is needed to satisfy the needs of buyers looking for homes right now.
So I think this is, once again, we're looking at the supply. There's not a big supply of homes that are being sold. And this is probably a lot to do that there hasn't been a lot of construction since 2008 and, since the financial crisis or Great Recession,
right.
And not like it was prior to that.
And it's important to know that these stats are actually coming from NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah. So, and I think that the same thing is going on in Rosarito. We haven't had a lot of construction here. So that's why we're probably seeing some of the information that we're seeing. So go ahead and go down.
Exactly. So I'm going to read you what the experts are saying according to this article. Ivy Zellman is saying, we note that the inventory as a percent of household sits at the lowest level ever, something we believe will limit the overall degree of home price pressure through the year. Mark Fleming, which is the chief economist at First American, says, housing supply remains at historically low levels, so house price growth is likely to slow, but it's not likely to go negative. And to end, Freddie Mac says, 2 forces prevent the collapse in house prices. First, as we indicated in our earlier research report, U.S. housing markets face a large supply deficit. Second, population growth and pent-up household formations provide a tailwind of housing demand.
How interesting is that? So I think that is some of the reason that we're experiencing what we're experiencing, and our, I guess, concern that there was going to be this immediate slowdown and everything. It didn't happen. We did start seeing a slowdown when this crisis started. As soon as people started seeing this for, I guess, what it is, they started, once again, the activity started up again. So I think people wanted to see if this was real and how long this was going to last and what was going on. And I think the whole world just kind of stopped and took a pause, and nobody was moving for about a month. And then all of a sudden, now as the reality is starting to set in of what's happening, I think people are looking for options right now.